Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, I am doing something that has been something that I've been wanting to do for a while now. A video that I've been wanting to remake for the past year or so, and that is the new and improved Star Wars tier list. So, yeah, without further ado, I am going to be diving into these rankings. And, yeah, I also want to point out the fact that before this video began recording, I noticed on this tier list that there was a handful of audiobooks, specials, and quite frankly stuff that I hadn't watched, and I wasn't interested in wasting your time, so I basically just put these in here for now. This may change as the list continues, but for now this is what's in here, and I still haven't seen The Acolyte. I probably won't watch it for the foreseeable future, but I have seen a bit of Visions, though, but not all of it, so for now it's just going to be in here. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the movies. The Phantom Menace is the first one that I'll be ranking, as I like this movie. There's a lot of things that I enjoy about this movie. You're going to be noticing that a lot in this video, me just repeating myself, saying those two things. But I like everything involving Naboo, the Trade Federation, the pod race, the introduction of Darth Maul, all that stuff, the origins of Anakin, and yeah, it's a pretty decent watch. I started rewatching this the other day. I still have yet to finish it, but yeah, it's a good start to the prequel trilogy, and yeah. Next up we have Episode 2. This is also going to be in Eta. This is another good film in the prequel trilogy. However, I do prefer Episode 1 to Attack of the Clones. But simply because, right, this film, sure, there's stuff I like about it, but that's preferably more towards the end, and also the bits with Obi-Wan going to Kamino and the whole Geonosis subplot. I think that's pretty good as well. But in terms of personal preference, I do basically think that Episode 1, actually no, scratch that. I like these movies just as much as, yeah, I like both of these movies. However, I do like Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, Episode 2 is a decent movie, and yeah, I just like the fact that it sets up the Clone Wars and has got a lot of good sequences, and yeah, it's a pretty decent film. Okay, so before we go into the Episode 3 ranking, I'm going to be doing ranking the Clone Wars movie. Now, no word of a lie, I don't particularly remember what happens in this movie. The only bits that I remember are the Battle of Christophsis, the whole stuff with Rot of the Hutt, the Battle of Teth, the one with the ATTs climbing up the side of that mountain. That battle, that's a pretty cool sequence. But the other half, I just don't remember what happens, because in fairness, I have only seen this movie twice, ever. The one time was at my grandma's house when I was very young. I watched it on DVD. The second time was actually a few years ago, and that's when I last watched it. It is a decent movie, for what it is. I wouldn't say it's the best Star Wars movie, but it's decent enough, because we get the introduction of Ahsoka, the Clone Wars, but this also gives us, our first look at the Clone Wars show. I don't know if this was running at the time of the show or before. To be fair, this probably set up the Clone Wars, but I wasn't around when this film came out, so yeah. Okay, Revenge of the Sith. This is probably one of my favourite prequel movies. To say that it is the best Star Wars movie, you wouldn't be wrong. it's got some stuff that I do like about it. Order 66, the Battle of Coruscant, everything with Grievous and the Outer Rim sieges, the Battle of Mustafar, just everything that I've mentioned is what I like about this movie. But I do feel like this film kind of like picks up like at the midway point, and also not to mention it has a slight, the word slight being in quotations here, slight pacing issue. Because 1 minute you're in the Battle of Coruscant, which, don't get me wrong, is a good sequence. I'm pretty much rocked in for the first like 20 minutes of this movie, if not all of it. And then you're on Utapau. Like that's how the pacing goes in this movie. That's not to say it's a bad thing, but it all happens so fast because time flies when you have fun, and this is a very fun movie. It's very action-packed and is my favourite one out of the prequels. Okay, now I'm gonna do the spin-offs first. Solo. Now, this film is alright. I get a lot of people don't like this movie. I for one think that some bits could have been done better, but other than that, it's a decent watch. I've only seen this movie a handful of times. That was when it came out. I remember watching it in cinemas. I think I rewatched it 2 years ago, and that was pretty much it. There are parts of it that I like. I like the Battle of Mimban. I like the opening scene. I think that's pretty good. I like the whole heist stuff. The train heist is pretty good as well. The castle heist is pretty good towards the end. And yeah, it's just a decent movie. And one thing that I don't take that much of an issue with compared to some people is the fact that Han Solo got his name from an Imperial officer. Because I thought he would have gotten his surname from doing something like slightly better or cooler than just some random Imperial giving it to him. Oh, who are your people? I don't have people, I'm alone. And then the officer's like, Han Solo. You see what happened there? That was very underwhelming. Maybe they could have done something better with the origins of the surname. But I don't have an issue. I don't have that big of an issue with it. I don't mind it, but yeah, I just feel like it could have been done better. Not to mention, towards the end, Darth Maul shows up, which I thought was interesting, considering that everyone thought he died in Rebels, but yeah, was Rebels still going when this film was out? I think it was like season 4. It was around about season 4 time this film came out. But yeah, it's a okay watch. Okay. Rogue One. I do prefer this movie to Solo. I think that it's a little bit better, and there's more stuff that I like about this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like the whole underworld side of Star Wars, but Rogue One is one of those movies which I would watch simply for love of the game, okay? Because the Battle of Scarif is a good sequence. All the characters we meet, Jin, Cassian, Bodhi, Chewett, K2SO, pretty much like the entirety of Rogue One are pretty good characters. I like the whole stuff with Krennic. That's pretty good. How he became like ambitious, and then Tarkin just took all the credit for him, saying that like the Death Star was his project, and basically just the whole like beef between those two characters. Granted, it's very little. It's still interesting, and he kind of had it coming, to be fair. Which he got killed by the weapon he designed. So yeah, nothing screams decent character who had a good ending than that guy. Not to mention the Vader hallway scene. I think that's a pretty good scene towards the end. It still gives me chills, and I do feel bad for all the rebels who were involved in that hallway. But yeah. And this film is turning 10 years old this year, and surprisingly, Lego have done little to nothing about it. So, yeah, but Lego, if anyone at the company is watching this, you better rock in. You better give us some sets. Maybe next year. I don't mind. So yeah, Rogue One is a good movie. I do recommend watching it after you've watched Andor season 1 and 2, but we'll get onto that later. Okay, A New Hope. This is gonna go in S tier, simply because it is a good first movie of a franchise. Because we wouldn't have a large majority of the films and TV shows if it wasn't for A New Hope. But one issue that I do have with this movie is the story. I think it's a bit predictable. Regardless of whether or not you're a Star Wars fan, you somewhat have knowledge of how A New Hope plays out. It is a great story for what it is, but that I just think A New Hope has a very basic and predictable plot. It's not bad by any means, but I just think it's predictable. There are some sequences that I enjoy. All the Tatooine stuff, the Tantive 4 stuff, that's pretty good as well. The Death Star. Pretty much just everything in this movie is brilliant. And I would highly recommend it, because it sets the foundations for probably one of the best, I don't know if that title is still being held now, but it's probably one of the best movie franchises of all time. Under Disney's leadership, that is to be debated. Okay, Empire Strikes Back. This is the real meat and potatoes, because this is probably one of my favourite original trilogy movies ever, next to, well, Return of the Jedi, but I'm kind of deciding whether or not I like Empire than Return of the Jedi. So I'm kind of figuring that out. But Empire Strikes Back is a good sequel. I do think that it is one of the best sequels of all time, next to Terminator 2 and a few other films that I like. And there are some good bits in this film, granted great bits. The Battle of Hoth, the Wampa Cave, pretty much the opening of this movie is peak. It's 10 out of 10. Wonderful stuff. The introduction of Yoda, that's good as well. The whole training sequence. Cloud City, Bespin, that's wonderful. The reveal that Darth Vader is Luke's father, that never gets old. And the ending of this movie, right, is a bit of an odd one, because it just ends with the gang just rocking out into a new galaxy, which, don't get me wrong, is somewhat of a positive ending, because they went through a lot in this movie. But I noticed this when I was watching one of the Family Guy specials the other day. Why does it just end like that? And also, one thing that I don't really feel like gets picked out a great deal, I might be wrong, but why does Rando wear Han Solo's clothes? Was that established in the lore? Do I need to catch up on any expanded universe Legends material? Does that need to happen? I also like the stuff with all the bounty hunters. I do like a large majority of the bounty hunters in Star Wars. Boba Fett, Dengar, Bosk, IG-88, Zuckuss, Forum, just to name a few. Those are some pretty good antagonists in the movie. Granted, Boba Fett is the one with the most screen time out of the bunch, but yeah, he's still one of my favourite bounty hunters. It's just a bit of a shame what happened to him in Book of Boba, but that's either here nor there. And yeah, Empire Strikes Back is a decent movie, and yeah, for that, it's gonna go in Esther. Okay, Return of the Jedi. I did mention that I'm kind of struggling with deciding whether or not I prefer this to Empire or Empire to this, but personally, I'm gonna put Empire. Okay, I'm gonna put Return of the Jedi in A tier, a bit above the Phantom Menace, but oh wow, wait, I need to reorganize all this. Okay, we're good. Right, Return of the Jedi is, in my opinion, should have been the ending of Star Wars. Sure, we still needed the prequels, but in my opinion, we could have just called it there. There are bits that I like in this movie. The whole stuff with Jabba's palace, I think that's pretty interesting. We get to see all these aliens. They're just chilling, hanging about. The stuff with the Rancor, the stuff with the Sarlacc pit, that never gets old. Luke returning to Dagobah, that's interesting as well. Very emotional when we see Homeboy Yoda die. That's very sad. Then the Battle of Endor. I do like the Battle of Endor. It's very good. The whole stuff with the Ewoks. I get a lot of people don't particularly like the Ewoks because they think that they were just used to sell toys, but they are a good and fun addition, and they definitely add a lot of character to this movie. And the whole stuff with like the Death Star 2, I think that is probably the best. But that all falls apart in the Rise of Skywalker, because tell me, why is the Death Star 2 just in the ocean? It clearly got destroyed. So yeah, I'm just gonna rest my case there. But yeah, Return of the Jedi is a good send-off to the original Star Wars movies, and I do think the critique and any form of criticism that this film gets is a bit strange. But yeah, it's a good end to probably one of the best trilogies in cinema. Granted, there are a few trilogies that I enjoy. Okay, we're going to move on to the TV shows now, but no, we're not doing the TV shows, I'm getting sidetracked, but we're going to be doing the sequels now. But before I do that, I'm just going to rank The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, I did record this video earlier in the week before I watched the movie, but then CapCut decided to just yoink the files out of my library, so I basically had to redo all this. But yeah, I was going to do like a prediction ranking for this movie, but I just didn't. Well, I'm not going to do it now because I watched the movie on Wednesday night, and for what I can say about this movie is that it's going in beta, because I approached this movie with very reasonable expectations, and I left the cinema feeling like all my expectations had been met. There was a few things in this movie that I liked. I liked the whole stuff with like the huts, Embo just aura farming in the rain, and I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but it is a very fun movie. I feel like it could have been done slightly better, because apparently it was like 3 episodes of the show crammed together. But I'm planning on doing a video like explaining my full thoughts, so I don't want to say what I need to say now. But yeah, The Mandalorian and Grogu was a decent enough movie for what it was. So for that, it's going to go in beta. I might work on the review right after I'm done with this video, but we shall see. Okay, The Force Awakens. This is the only sequel movie that I tolerate, okay? Because, quite frankly, I feel like there was like so much potential with this film, but yeah, it just plummeted to the lowest depths of the ocean, okay? Because, no word of a lie, there are bits of this film that I like. I like the whole stuff with Starkiller Base, Jakku. I feel like the Battle of Jakku is one of the more interesting sides of Disney canon. And it does make for a great Battlefront 2015 map, if I've ever seen one. There's stuff that I like about this movie, but I also feel like there's bits that could have been done better. For example, Rey. There was so much potential with like the characters in this, especially like towards the end of this movie. No hate towards anyone involved, but in the battle for Starkiller Base, there's we see the lightsaber just in the snow, and it's like being pulled, and we're thinking, oh, who's grabbing it? Who's going to pick it up? And then we all think it's going to go to Finn over here, but no, it goes to Rey, because apparently having another male Jedi just isn't good enough. So yeah, and I kind of feel like Adam Driver's performance as Kylo Ren was pretty good. Granted, they made Kylo do some pretty stupid things in this trilogy, but yeah. And also, I feel very disappointed every time I watch the death of Han Solo, and also I feel very sad as well because I feel like he could have gone out better than just being stabbed by his own son. Right? He didn't even get a chance to reunite with Rook. Okay, there could have been this whole bit where like Leia, Han Solo, and Rook could have just like met up and just done some stuff together. But no, and that's never gonna happen. But yeah, The Force Awakens is an okay movie. I would say it's slightly better than what's to come, but I do like the stuff with Starkiller Base. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, The Last Jedi. This is obviously going to go in F tier, because going into this movie, I was very excited, as 8-year-old me often was, for anything Star Wars related. Now, looking back nearly 10 or so years later, I do think that stuff could have been done better in this movie. There's a few things that I like about this movie. Same with The Force Awakens. It's the cinematography, some of the planets that they visit in this film. Granted, it's only the majority of this movie is set in space, but some of the stuff that happens in this movie is kind of stupid. Right? Tell me why Princess Leia survives getting blown up, and then she just floats back into the ship like it's nothing, like it's another day at the office, right? What's happening there? I do think Rook is kind of... Sure, he's a good addition in this movie, but the fact that he just threw his lightsaber off the side of a cliff, that there are no words. But it was very disappointing, The Last Jedi. It was probably the only time, right, at that time anyway, that I had been disappointed for anything Star Wars related. Sheer amount of disappointment. So yeah, it's going to go in F tier. Okay, The Rise of Skywalker. I have very little to say about this movie, very little that I actually like, but I'm going to go over a few things that I like about this movie. 1, the locations. 2, the cinematography. And 3, me just feeling bad for all involved. Because tell me why. Why was this needed? Why was The Rise of Skywalker made the way it was? Palpatine didn't need to come back. He'd overstayed his welcome. He'd pretty much been killed in the Death Star 2 explosion. Right? He fell down a reactor shaft, for God's sake. Right? No one could have survived that, and also we just got turned into smoke, bro. Right? Ugh. And also, tell me why the Death Star 2 is just casually chilling on a planet. Like, why is it there? I get in Battlefront 2, when you're like doing some like going to like any of like the space Endor maps, and also in the campaign as well. You see like chunks of Death Star like thrown about. That makes sense, but the fact that a large majority of the like station itself is just in the ocean, and the fact that the Sith dagger that Rey gets perfectly lines up with one of the buildings on the Death Star. Who wrote this movie? It feels more like a video game bunch of quests than an actual Star Wars film. And there was a very, small time at the start of 2020 where I liked this movie. That soon was taken away from me when I watched Clone Wars Season 7, but yeah. The Rise of Skywalker was not a good ending to the Skywalker Saga, even though the missions in the Skywalker Saga video game are much better than this. And I also think some of the line delivery and some of the things that these characters do is a bit stupid. So yeah, I'm just going to rest my case there, because I don't want to waste your time and me just rambling on about how much I dislike The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, we're going to move on to TV shows now. how am I gonna do this? Okay, I'm gonna do Phineas and Ferb first, which I am somewhat surprised is on this list, but it's gonna go in A tier because nostalgia. I loved Phineas and Ferb growing up, and I still haven't watched any of the new episodes of this, but whether or not I will be watching that is up in the air. Okay, the Clone Wars micro series. This is very underrated. It doesn't get enough attention, and it's often overshadowed by its younger brother, the Clone Wars from 2008. But I do feel that this was good. This was a very great thing that was made. It's got some good sequences, it's got a good art style, reminds me of Samurai Jack and just any Cartoon Network show with that art style from the early 2000s. And yeah, this might not be canon anymore, but some of the scenes in this are pretty good. It is on Disney Plus. It is set it's basically a majority of episodes are just crammed into 40 to 48 minute long episodes. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I would recommend watching this. Or if you just Google Clone Wars micro series scenes onto YouTube or whatever, you'll probably get you'll probably see what I'm talking about. There are some bits in this that I like, not to mention the points that I've just made, but there's a scene where one of the Jedis, I forgot his name, but he's got horns coming from the side of his head. He says, no, or one of his clones or whatever, I don't know. Someone says that we need to get a new ship, so they basically jump into the vacuum of space onto another ship, and yeah, that's so much aura right there. Not to mention the introduction of Grievous in this. I think that's pretty good as well. Not to mention Shaggy from Scooby-Doo makes an appearance in this. I do like the design of that character. I think it's funny for what it is. But yeah, I would recommend watching this. Not to mention the character design is pretty good. And there's also a guy in this. I think he's a bounty hunter. He's made out of worms. He's basically like that guy who you fight in Jedi Survivor, the one with the hammer, who works for. I think his name is Ravus or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I've played the story. Granted, I did it a couple months ago. But basically, he has a suit. He basically just rides around. He's kind of like a knight from the medieval times. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting character, and I would recommend watching this show. And for that, it's going to go in A tier. Okay, the Clone Wars. Oh boy. This show is probably one of the best animated Star Wars shows currently, next to more Shadow Lord, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So, the Clone Wars was a show that I grew up on, same with Rebels, but I feel like I have more of an attachment to Clone Wars compared to Rebels, simply because there's a lot of stuff that I like about the show. The majority of the arcs in this show, the Fives arc, the Shadow Virus arc, landing at Point Rain, I think that's pretty good. What else? The Siege of Mandalore, everything with Maul just coming back, I think that's good. The Bounty Hunter arc, there's a couple. There's one with Cad Bane, there's one where Obi-Wan becomes a bounty hunter. Umbara, there's there's a lot of stuff to cover, but I feel like some of the arcs were a bit unnecessary. I'm looking at you, Martez sisters. I'm looking at you. That arc was not needed at all. But yeah, it's a good watch. The show gradually improves as the season continues. As the show continues, I should say. It has a similar effect to Rebels, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And yeah, it's got a good art style. The ending of season 7 always gets me. That was very emotional. But all good things must come to an end, and the Clone Wars definitely had a good ending. Very good indeed. Okay, Star Wars Rebels. Oh, I do have a handful of things to say about this show. One, it gradually gets better, because a lot of people often critique Rebels for being too kiddie, being too childish, being, very, very safe, not very unserious. But not every Star Wars show has to be like Andor. I just want to preface that. Not every show has to be like Andor. And there are parts of this show that I like. I think the return of Maul is good. I feel like some of the missions that the Ghost crew go on, and all the locations that they visit, is pretty interesting as well. Some arcs weren't needed, but I feel like it gets better. Season 4's ending was pretty good. The whole stuff with Thrawn, which feeds straight into the Ahsoka show, I think that was good. But the return of these characters, Ezra, Sabine, and Hera, and also Thrawn in the Ahsoka show, was kind of underwhelming. Now, Zeb's return in, I think, Season 3 of The Mandalorian, and also in the Mando movie, was alright. And I rest in peace, homeboy Kanan. You will be missed. And Chopper, I have nothing bad to say about Chopper because he is an absolute menace to society, and we love him to bits. So yeah, Rebels is going to go an A tier because it's a good show, and sure, the art style is similar to Clone Wars, but I feel like it makes do with what it has, and for that, it's going in that rank. Star Wars Resistance. I don't know a single soul who has watched this show. I've only seen a bit of it, and I don't like the art style. I thought it was okay initially, but I just don't like it. It's going to go in after. The Mandalorian. I'm going to, for the sake of this ranking, I'm going to just be focusing on seasons 1 and 2. There's a lot I like about season 1, and there's also a lot I like about season 2. Season 1 introduces us to the Mandalorian. No kidding, actually. We also get the introduction of Moff Gideon. I think the whole stuff with Navarro, Moff Gideon wanting a child for Kryant. One great characters, may I say, great protagonists. No, antagonists. The first handful of episodes in this show are pretty good, if not all of them. The Navarro battle at the end, I think that's pretty good. And yeah, season 1 is a pretty good start to this show. Season 2, however, sure, there's still filler. Season 1 also suffers from that issue as well, but season 2 kind of goes into more depth. We get the reintroduction of Boba Fett. I think that scene is amazing, as is. We get introduced to Cobb Vanth, who is in Boba Fett's armor, and they both team up to take down the Krayt Dragon with a handful of Tuskens. That is a good start to a season. We get Baby Yoda just gets yoinked in one of the final episodes, and yeah, just a lot of stuff happens in season 2, and the Razor Crest gets destroyed, but it comes back in the Mando movie. So what is there to complain about there? I kind of feel like the show could have and should have ended with season 2, because the ending was great. Book of Boba kind of undid that, because Mando just came back and took Grogu. Season 3, sure, there were bits that I liked about it. I liked the fact that Moff Gideon was ambitious to create crones. He was chilling on Mandalore, but I feel like the whole Force clone stuff is so blatantly obvious that it's trying to set up Snoke and the return of Palpatine. But that whole thing was done better in Legends and the expanded universe. Not trying to graze that side of Star Wars, but yeah, a lot of stuff went wrong. And don't tell me, right, why Jack Black and Rizzo are in this show. Who at Lucasfilm approved that? But we don't we like Jack Black. He isn't a bad person by any means. Because well, he's Jack Black. What's not to love? So solely just basing this ranking off of season 1 and 2, it's gonna go in S tier. Okay, The Bad Batch. This show was okay. It did get better, like, gradually towards the end, but I feel, well, this is my opinion anyway, that sure, season 1 was filler, and there was a few good episodes about it. Camino getting destroyed was very emotional. Well, it was maybe just emotional, but whatever. Season 2 was, more of the same, but it did gradually get better as, it expanded the Raw, the Empire's intentions with, Omega, the Crones, and basically everything going on with Mount Tantus. I think that was an interesting thing to explore. Season 3 was probably the best of the show, in my opinion. Granted, there were the whole escape from Tantus happened in the first few episodes, but it does pay off at the end in the season finale, where a lot of crazy stuff goes down. But regardless of that, The Bad Batch was an alright show. And this was probably one of the first Star Wars shows that I watched on Disney Plus, because back in 2021, I remember hearing rumours and whispers on the street that we were getting this new Star Wars show, which was going to be set after the Clone Wars. And obviously, me being a Star Wars fan, I was immediately intrigued. And yeah, I watched season 1 when it came out. I thought it was good. And yeah. Whether or not I'd rewatch it again is a mystery to me. But it's alright for what it is. It's very much so like that. Okay, Book of Boba. Oh, where do I begin? Some of you may know that Boba Fett is probably one of my favourite bounty hunters in Star Wars. But tell me why the character was mishandled in his own show. There were bits that I liked, don't get me wrong. The whole Tusken Raider stuff. The fact that Boba was doing things differently. He got sidelined in his own show. That was kind of unfortunate. The whole return of Cad Bane towards the end. And yeah, this show was kind of throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it stuck. But yeah, Book of Boba Fett was an alright show. I don't mind rewatching this show. Sorry, because Boba Fett is a good character, and it's just kind of a shame we're not getting a season 2, or we don't even know what Boba's up to at the time with the Mandalorian and Grogu. We don't know. Hopefully he's doing alright, and yeah, there was a lot to be desired in this show, because at the end of season 2 of the Mandalorian, Boba Fett just waltzed into Jabba's palace and just shot Bib Fortuna. That set up so much potential, but yeah, there were bits that I liked about this show, but it could have been done better. And I don't like the way they handled Cad Bane and his death. Bro was just impaled by a stick, and that's pretty much all that happened. I do like the stuff with the Rancor. Boba Fett just casually aura farming on the Rancor. I thought that was pretty good. And yeah, that's all I have to say for Book of Boba. Obi-Wan Kenobi. This show, I was excited for it. I was excited for Kenobi as much as the next guy, but there was so much potential with this show. Okay, you're gonna start to see a trend here. Yeah, the Obi-Wan show, was supposed to be the rematch of the century between Vader and Kenobi. That was towards the end. Sure, Kenobi got burnt in that one episode by Vader, but Vader was just aura farming for that entire show, and the only good additions in this show were the cinematography, Obi-Wan and Vader, some of the locations that they visit. Granted, some of them were a bit bland, And I think the whole stuff with Rhea was kind of unnecessary, because Obi-Wan's his sole intention was to stay on Tatooine and look and watch over Luke to see if if there's any danger coming his way. But all of that was brushed aside because Bail Organa wanted him to go to Alderaan and say, "Oh, our daughter has been kidnapped, and you, because you're the one who gave her to us, you have to basically take time out of your day, week, month, whatever, and go and find her." Okay, so Obi-Wan basically just did that, and sure, their dynamic, if you can even call it that, was okay, but there's a scene towards the end of the show where they're escaping from Fortress Inquisitorius, where Obi-Wan's wearing a coat. He's trying to blend in, trying not get any attention drawn to himself. You can see Rhea's feet next to him, and there's just a gap or whatever. I did not like that bit whatsoever. I kind of feel like the antagonist, one of the main antagonists, Reva, was very mishandled. Oh, because she was a survivor from Order 66 and she wants to get revenge on Vader. No, because you actually work for Vader, and you have no chance in killing him because he'll probably kill you. Okay? But there were bits that I liked about the show. The rematch between Vader and Kenobi was pretty good towards the end, and that's pretty much it. Okay, Andor. Season 1 and 2 were pretty good. Very likeable cast of characters. Some that I didn't like. There were a few moments in this show that I liked. The Gorman Massacre in Season 2, that was pretty dark, but Disney had some balls to do that, okay? Let me tell you that. The whole prison arc, One Way Out, that was a decent batch of episodes. Granted, the final one in the arc was the only decent one. The Aldani heist, even though it took 4 episodes to set up said heist, I thought the payoff was pretty good in the end. Just Season 1 was a pretty good start. The origins of Cassian were relatively alright. Season 2 was good. The Gorman Massacre, as mentioned, was good. The whole stuff with Dedra, Krennic. We even got the introduction of K2SO, that was pretty good. Ruthen was another good character. And yeah, this show gets heavily grazed online. I, for one, think it's decent for what it is. It is good television, but there are a few episodes of this show that I like and would actively rewatch if I had the choice. So yeah, I would highly recommend Andor if you want context as to what happens in Rogue One. And yeah, I thought the acting in this show was good. I thought some of the moments were great. I thought the cinematography was good as well. And some of the casting in this show was good. And that's pretty much all I have to say in regards to Andor. So yeah, it's good television. You should watch it. Okay, Tales of the Jedi. I'm gonna be very honest here. It's good. It's a good piece of animation. I don't really need to discuss it further, but it's good. Okay, Ahsoka. Let me just have a drink. Right. Ahsoka. This show, without a doubt, was very underwhelming. And I'm going to give you a few reasons as to why I thought it was underwhelming. It's gonna go in after. 1. Anakin was solely there for nostalgia bait. Thrawn's return was very underwhelming. Ahsoka didn't feel like Ahsoka. Some of the episodes were just drags to get through. Granted, there were a few episodes that I enjoyed. Baylan Skoll was the only good character in this show. Malak was mishandled because he just got turned into a fart crowd, for God's sake, which says a lot about this show. The whole stuff with the Night Sisters and the zombie stormtroopers was kind of unnecessary. If you want a good zombie Star Wars thing, I recommend reading the Death Troopers novel or just watching a recap on YouTube. I don't mind. 'cause it is very dark, and so much could have happened in this show. The only bits that I like is the Clone Wars flashbacks, and also Baywin's skull. And I do remember me mentioning this in my hot takes video, which I kind of like made in the space of a day. I kind of felt like Thrawn was kind of dumbed down, and he wasn't used to the best that he could have been. Because compared to like Rebels, Legends, EU, whatever, he is a being of mass intelligence, one of the wisest members of the Imperial Navy. He's good at strategy, good at commanding stuff, and basically just wants control. In this show, he basically was like, "Nah, we'll just let the heroes go. We'll just do whatever. We just wanna do evil stuff because we're the bad guys. And hey, I also brought some of my witch friends there, and they're gonna do some magic." That wasn't needed at all. So hopefully season 2 is slightly better. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, and say this show could do something similar to the likes of Daredevil Born Again, because in season 1 it was not very good. It was a bit of a drag to get through. There was moments in the show that I liked, but there was some like writing issues behind the scenes. Season 2 was slightly better, but I don't know if the same logic is going to apply with this, because obviously, Ahsoka's a fan favourite character, and yeah, I might be wrong with the whole comparison to Daredevil Born Again, but that's either here nor there. So Ahsoka's going to go in after, unless my mind is changed with season 2. Okay, Tales of the Empire. Not remotely terrible, but it's gonna go in detail. Tales of the Underworld. I do like this show compared to Tales of the Empire. I thought Tales of the Empire was very boring and very underwhelming, but Tales of the Underworld was slightly better. I wouldn't say it's the best Star Wars animated show, but I did like the Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane episodes. I thought they were good. Okay, Skeleton Crew. This show is an interesting one for me because I see a lot of things happen. People like this show, people don't like this show. Me personally, I'm in the middle, because there's parts I like about the show and there's also parts that I don't like. I'm just going to get the good stuff out of the way first. I feel like the kids in this show get gradually better and more developed as this show continues, and they get, and they become better characters. I like the whole stuff about the pirates and the whole mystery of where the kids come from. I like the fact that Jod was a Jedi, I think. Well, I haven't seen this show since it came out, so I don't particularly remember how things go. I like the cast of characters in this show. The cinematography is good as well. The whole underworld side of stuff and the whole pirate mythos. I probably just mentioned that, but I thought that was pretty good. Now for the bad stuff. The New Republic are kind of stupid in this show, because what do you mean you can't destroy a ship with kids inside? You could have just used some kind of EMP disruptor, whatever, to disable the Onyx Cinder's engines or whatever. Get the kids out and rescue them and take them back to Atten or whatever the hell they're from. But no, my opinion on that still stands. Sure, they're slightly better in the Mandalorian and Grogu, but in Skeleton Crew they're kind of just dumbed down. And also another thing, the kids are a bit annoying in the first few episodes, but I don't particularly have an issue with that, because saying, the first 2 episodes are bad, they still have time to grow. The kids still have time to grow. And it's an okay show. It's going to go in the same bit as Book of Boba. Alright, Maul Shadow Lord is the final thing that I'll be discussing today. It is a okay show. Well, it's not okay. It's more than okay. It's good. It's great. I like the art style in this show. It's a bit more refined compared to the likes of the Clone Wars and Rebels. That's kind of, to reflect how the galaxy is at this point in time. And yeah, I have no negatives to say about this show. The only thing I am going to say is that why does one of the crime syndicate bosses look like one of the High on Life guns? And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So yeah, that was my ranking of all the Star Wars TV shows, movies, whatever. And hopefully I don't have to redo this video or have to re-rank anything, because I'm kind of happy with how this list is now. So yeah, thank you all for watching. This video has kind of been a pain to make because I've had to re-record it several times and make sure that it's right to my opinions and my thoughts on these projects. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed. I don't know what's going to come next. Probably my review on the Mandalorian and Grogu. But yeah, I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.